Welcome back to the Compound Podcast. This is episode 152.
Correct.
152. Presented by Parse Rum. I have a Parse Rum story. Ooh, okay. So one of our friends at Parse is in Oregon. Goes and meets this guy in Bend, Oregon, who is a massive Cub fan. And guess what else? He's an avid Compound listener. He brought Parse into his bar because he had heard about it on the Compound, wanted to try it out, and now he is a big Parse guy. So shout out to us for talking about Parse, and shout out to our friend for bringing it into his bar and making everybody look good.
And he's saving the planet.
Bend, Oregon, also probably the nicest city in America. Beautiful city.
Like the nicest people, or like the actual nicest? Like
Just
the best
very
city
beautiful.
in America?
Very scenic town in Central Oregon. You got to go over the mountains, then you're in a really nice spot. I love Bend, Oregon. Shout out Bend, Oregon.
Shout out Parse, shout out Bend, Oregon. Also, Parse is the rum for whiskey drinkers, and it's premium, dry style, flavor profile that everybody's going to love. So if you're a whiskey drinker, go get some Parse. Also, go to your local liquor store or bar, ask them about Parse, ask them to bring it in, ask them to try it, ask them to put it on the shelves and see what they say, because that's what our friend in Oregon did. And are we calling Bend a Parse town? I would call it a Parse city.
They should hang a banner up there just when you like over a bridge whenever you cross to get in there about Parse.
A Parse. You know how outside of the stadiums they put like the banners up?
Yep.
We should
Well,
just
so
have
do you
those
know-
like on the main street and they just say Parse.
I have a perfect solution. The stadium in Bend, Oregon is built the wrong way. So the outfield, it's the sun sets in the outfield. So they have to take sun breaks sometimes. And they have like those giant banners they hang up. Actually, I remember one time we played there and they didn't have the banners. And well, let me tell you, it was a nothing game late into that one because nobody was seeing anything at the plate. But
What?
you can hang
You could hang Parse
thing,
banners.
and so that covers the sun. So then the batters can actually be able to see the ball and might be able to hit it.
What league is Bend in?
The West Coast League, the summer ball, the Bend Elks.
I had that in Massachusetts. I think it's Pittsfield, Massachusetts. There was a sun delay when we played there.
I think those are like the only two stadiums that host like any sort of high level baseball they were built like very long time ago that are just oriented the wrong way.
What do you want to start with today? I got something I want to start with. And I just want to address it, and then I just want to move past it. Okay? I'm going to start talking about what Chris Russo said about Otani and Trout's at bat to end WBC. You guys might have thought I was going to talk about something else when I said I just want to address it, move past it. But guess what? This is what I want to talk about.
I did think you were going to talk about something else. Can you say what he said? Because I honestly didn't see it.
Okay. He said it's not that big of a deal. Everyone was like, it's such an amazing at bat. What a great way for WBC to end, two best players in the world, blah, blah, blah. He was like, it's not even that big of a deal because Trout's not that good. He strikes out all the time. And I think he said he strikes out 175 times a year, and he struck out 2 times in the game, and it doesn't matter.
Like what?
Tom, can you actually get the real quote, please? So here's my point. Crazy take. Crazy take. Couldn't be more wrong. Trout's only struck out more than 175 times one time in his career. Guess what else he did that year? Won the MVP. Okay.
Here you go. I have the quote. He said he was bored stiff at the end of that game, which worried about his pulse then. Did you see the headlines today? Russo asked on the show. Epic at bat. Incredible moment. What? Why? Because they're teammates? And Trout does nothing but strike out. Trout struck out twice in that game. Everybody talks to me about Trout is Joe DiMaggio. I mean, Trout strikes out 175 times a year. He also continued to say that the at-bat had no suspense because nobody was on base.
It was a one-run game, so
Yeah.
This is the craziest take of all time. First of all, to say that Mike Trout strikes out all the time, and to say that he's the best player in baseball. He still is the best player in baseball. Okay. It was an electric at bat. He had some nasty takes. Otani's throwing a hunch. Okay. And he's spitting on pitches all over the place. And the more important point here is with how great of a moment that was and how great that game was for someone who is paid by MLB Network to have a show on MLB Network and promote the game, and goes on ESPN and talks about baseball in hope to promote the game, that this is this guy's take? This is who's promoting baseball? What's happening? What's happening? Am I hearing this? Can be a real take from someone that gets paid to watch the game and actually is on a network that sole purpose is to get more people to watch the game. There's no way that this guy's being paid by someone who's actually trying to get more people to watch baseball.
My thing is, go ahead, Zach.
I just don't understand how you can say that, like you said, and get paid to do it, and not like, if you're a part of baseball, right? Like, he's been on MLB Network, right? For a
3
while.
years.
Yeah. How are you in good faith saying that and like actually putting that out to the public and like believing in it and having an argument for it? I don't get it. Like, it's just so wrong. Even if, no matter how you put it, yeah, he strikes out a lot. Okay, but guess what? He has a 1 dot for his career. Don't care. What?
But that's my thing. I don't think he believes it. I think all these pundits, like Stephen A. Smith, like all these guys, like, they get paid to have these takes to make the news. I refuse to believe that he actually thinks that Trout isn't very good and he strikes out all the time. I think he literally was looking for clicks and getting like attention to it, and he got that. But I refuse to believe he actually thinks that. Because like you said, he follows baseball. Like, he actually knows baseball. So it's like, if you actually think that, your credibility is gone, because it's just not true.
If you are paid to promote the game and you're part of the unit at Major League Baseball or the network or whatever that's supposed to promote the game, that take. You can't, because you can't go on and you can't have the casual fan hear that, because it's so destructive.
But I think if anything, it draws more attention to baseball, because if anything, it got people talking more about it. So I think it kind of worked.
Got people talking about him.
Yes, but at the same time, like, you don't think 2 months into the season when Mike Trout's hitting 400 with 30 home runs already that everyone's not going to be like, you idiot, you see how good he is? Like, I feel like it's still like it's going to draw more attention to them.
I mean, we're talking about a guy, he's in the outrage Olympics. This is someone whose entire job is to get clicks. I mean, this is a guy, I remember I grew up in New York. He was on WFAN for 25 years. He's a revolutionary figure when you talk about sports media. But this is a guy who lost his fastball 15 years ago. I mean, this is a guy in 2007 or 8, the Yankees traded for Xavier Nady and Damaso Marte. And I remember he came on the radio the next day and said the Pirates should cease to be a franchise, and was screaming at the top of his lungs, the Pirates should cease to be a franchise. So this is a guy that's been a clown for 15 years, continuing clown stuff. This is why companies like John Boy Media have been able to succeed, because the mainstream part of sports media has turned into this outrage Olympics culture where it's just, what can I say today that will end up on Twitter that will get us coverage? And that's it. That's all they care about at the end of the day. They don't care about promoting the sport. They don't care about informing people. They care about getting clicks and driving money toward their advertiser. And that's it. And if you understand that, it makes it much easier to understand what he's doing. He's just saying inflammatory shit to say inflammatory shit.
That's my point, is, don't you agree, Tom? Like, I don't think he truly believes that. I think he's literally trying to get clicks, and he's like, oh, if I say this, people are going to go nuts. Like, let me just say it.
I don't even think it matters if you
yeah.
Like, I'm so beyond like caring if he believes it, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. He's saying it in a public forum. It doesn't matter if he believes it at this point. He's spewing it.
Is it like him or ESPN, do you think? Like, does ESPN come up to him and say, hey, Chris, let's say some crazy shit today? Or like,
that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, that has to happen. I believe that happens. Like, you don't think Charles Barkley and Stephen A., like, they're not told, like, hey, man, like, just say something crazy. Like, I don't know, why not? It'll be great. Like, we'll get it posted everywhere.
Or these guys just get so into it that they get delusional and start doing it themselves. But like, JJ Redick's been pretty honest, and like, he is the one who actually speaks the truth on those programs and will fight people. And like, he's been pretty honest about like where he get like that he is, fighting the good fight for everybody who actually is like sane in media.
Yeah. I think he's awesome to listen to.
Sports media in the mainstream right now is about pushing narratives. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He's pushing that narrative, and whether or not he believes it, it's harmful and it's destructive, and it continues to feed an ecosystem that is broken beyond belief.
Can I give you Can I give you a hot take as long as we're talking about hot takes? Hot take brought to you by Roman.
Hot take brought to you by Roman. Do you want a better sex life? If so, you're not alone. A lot of guys want to enjoy a better sex life. Up to 50% of men have symptoms that get in the way of wanting or enjoying sex. But Roman is here to help. Roman is the digital health clinic for men, offering genuine medication that helps achieve and maintain a strong erection. In men with low T, getting testosterone levels back to normal can help increase your libido. Romans offers a testosterone test, and if it's appropriate for you, treatment for low T. At Roman, there's no waiting rooms and no hassle. It's a straightforward digital experience from the comfort of your own home. If medication is testing is appropriate, Roman will send it directly to your door. Everything arrives in discreet packaging with free 2-day shipping. To learn more about how you can achieve your own personal sexual health goals, go to row.co/johnboy today to get 20% off your entire first order. That's row.co/johnboy for 20% off your entire first order.
Boy, Tom.
Okay, here's my hot take. I think Shohei Ohtani is the most valuable player in baseball, but I do not think that he is the best player in baseball.
Whoa.
Hot take. Hot
Whoa.
take.
Hey,
Hot take.
hey.
Mad Dog just take over your body for a minute?
I just want to say, like, what he did was incredible, and he is by far the most valuable player in baseball because he fills 2 spots as one human. Okay, he is a top 10, 15 starting pitcher, right?
Yes.
No one would argue that he's like top 5. There's definitely 5 guys better than him that are starting pitchers that would be aces, but he's
Didn't he have like a 2.5 last, like a 2 something last year?
Tom.
Working on
I feel like it's continue with your argument for why he's not.
Okay.
And then I'll give you my count.
And I think you would say that there's probably 5 guys that are better hitters than him as well, right? Like he's exceptional and he's an incredible hitter. He's top 10 hitter in the game too.
Shohei Ohtani's 2022 pitching stats. He went 15-9 with a 2.33 ERA in 166 innings, 124 hits, 219 strikeouts in 166 innings.
I mean,
I was going to say, if anything, Ian,
That's
I'd
pretty good.
He
That's
finished
pretty
fourth in
good.
the Cy Young.
If anything, Ian, I'd flip your takes. I'd say he's a top 5, top 10 pitcher, a top 10, top 15 hitter. I think he's a little lower on the hitting chart, but on the pitching, I think he's higher than you had him.
he still had 40 homers though.
Yes, but I think you could name. I don't know. I'd have to actually make.
I mean,
a list,
you're gonna go Trout, Goldschmidt, Mookie,
Arenado,
Soto.
I mean, there's a good amount. I think I'd still take over him hitting wise.
So here's my point. Here's my point. He's by far the most valuable because he's going to be a 5 or 6 WAR pitcher, and then he's a 4 or 5 WAR hitter, and before you know it, he's a 9 to 10 more player every single year.
Mhm.
Judge did that. Oh yeah, you put Judge ahead of him, hitter. Judge did that as a hitter. He had a 10.6 WAR just as a hitter. Like what I'm saying is, there's guys that are like I don't know. I think when you talk about like the best players in baseball, like I'm still going to put Trout and Judge up there. Shohei is by far the most valuable, and he deserves to be paid $60 million next year. He's probably going to get a 12 for 600. It's going to be crazy. But like,
I just
that was
I don't
my
know
hot
how
take.
you
As I was thinking
separate-
about it, I was like, he's so good, but like, he plays 2 positions, and it's amazing, and it's incredible what he does.
So is your argument
exceptional? I was just thinking about it, and I was like, is he the best player in baseball, or is he the most valuable? It's my hot take of the day.
I've tried to come in 3 times, and you paused
I'm gonna
and then
keep
started
talking.
again. I'm trying to ask you, how do you differentiate the 2? Like, what does that mean? What does an MVP mean versus best player?
I'm trying to differentiate the 2. I'm trying to say like
at their peak of their one thing, like you pick one thing, like if Shohei at his very best pitching, like would you rather have him or DeGrom at their very best? Like I'd rather have DeGrom. If you pick Trout versus Shohei hitting at their very best, who would you rather have? I'd rather have Trout. I'd probably rather have Judge. I'd rather have
both at an
Goldschmidt.
MVP level. I mean, last year
That's what I mean.
In the Cy Young, and he won the MVP the year before this. I don't really understand this argument at all. He
could win the MVP.
He's a top. Okay, but hold on 1 second. He's a top
Tom.
10 player. He's a top 10 player as both a pitcher and a hitter. No, like that means he's the best player in baseball. I don't understand.
But that's Ian's. I see what Ian's saying, because I get when you take into account both, you have to say he's the best. Like I don't know though, because he's definitely the most valuable. I think I'm on Ian's team.
I think he's the best baseball player on planet Earth.
But is he a better hitter than Mike Trout? No. Is he a better pitcher than Jacob DeGrom?
But he's
no.
like a monster.
But he does both.
Like he is literally like both linked together and
that's why I agree with Ian.
Like he's built in a lab, bro. Like he has the best of both worlds.
And Mike Trout isn't?
Yes, but like he doesn't pitch, bro. Doesn't pitch.
Okay. He probably could, honestly.
I think
he might golf. He's making a golf course, but he doesn't pitch.
Good for him on the golf course. But here's the
don't get sidetracked. Keep going.
Here's the difference is that maybe he is the best baseball player in the world, and maybe he is the most valuable baseball player in the world. But I think everybody can agree that he's neither the best pitcher or the best hitter in the game.
Yes, that's where I'm with you. I agree with that. But I do agree with Tom and Zach that he is definitely the most valuable. Like you'll take him. If you get one guy right now to start your team, you're taking Shohei Ohtani.
100%. 100%. Because he fills 2 spots. He's worth like his like downside scenario is like 7 wins or 8 wins. And like his upside is like 9 or 10. Like, I don't know, like that does 2 things and you just pay one guy to do 2 and you can fill your roster out. But like,
he's also 27 years old. I mean, he's about to enter his prime. We haven't even seen probably his best baseball yet. Think about that.
Will he be the best hitter, or what if he won the MVP and the Cy Young? That would be fucking crazy.
I mean, he should have won MVP last year, but Judge hit 900 home runs.
Well, Judge was more valuable. More valuable.
So who was the better hitter last year, Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani? Aaron Judge. That's a fact.
And Verlander was a better pitcher.
Another fact. That's the argument. I don't think Ian's trying to say that anyone, I mean, we already said it, like there's no one more valuable. Like Ian, if you're starting a team right now, you're starting your team with Shohei, correct?
100%. Give me him.
Yes.
And he'll start opening day, then he'll DH the rest of them, and he's the best player in baseball. Like, but he's not the best hitter, or he's also not the best pitcher. So it's a very interesting.
It's just the fact that he does both that makes him the best overall player.
Correct.
I could understand this argument if you're like, if he was an amazing pitcher, right? Like, let's say he finished 4th in the Cy Young, which he did last year. And then he was,
let's just say
he did the thing he did last year. But then let's say he was a 100 level OPS player, right? He was just an average hitter. He would still be the best player in baseball, guys. So I don't understand. Like the fact that he didn't win the MVP means that the fact that he didn't win the Cy Young, he has to be the best at both to be the best player. I just don't track the logic.
Well, no one's saying that. No one's saying he has to win the MVP.
Else does he have to do what else does he have to do to become the best player in your mind? He has to be the best at hitting or the best at pitching?
That's what I'm saying. If you separate them and look at him just as a hitter, he's not the best hitter. If you look at him just as a pitcher, he's not the best pitcher. But obviously, he does both, so it makes him the best.
And maybe he is, and we're not saying that he's not the most valuable. Everybody has agreed he's the most valuable.
Yes.
And I guess he is the best baseball player on the planet.
He's the best baseball player, but I kind of went a little off it and I said, is he the best hitter or best pitcher? No. But he does both, which makes him the best.
And he's the only guy that can do it. And it's fascinating
elite at both.
Because you've never had to have the debate of like, and you know what was crazy? It's when he closed and threw 102. If I was looking to pay him for the next 12 years, I'd be like, shit. If maybe we can just make him a closer for the last like 5, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Just sit 100.
But just like watching him throw and like get up to face Trout, literally throwing 102 and the ball's moving like that much too.
Dude.
Do you know how many times I rewinded and slowed down those Japanese guys like pitching motions? And I'm like, wait a second. Like they're not even like moving very fast. How do they throw 100? I'm like, I want to throw like you guys.
How crazy was that? Was it 89-mile-an-hour slider he threw him that last pitch?
They did the metrics on it, and they said it's like absolutely ridiculous too.
It was insane.
You saw it. It was going and took like a 90-degree angle.
And Russo's hot take is that Trout strikes out all the time. Get out of here. That was a hot take. Row.co. Tom didn't like it very much. Tom got a little angry. A little angry at everybody. It's okay, Tom.
Tom misconstrued it. We're not trying to chop down Shohei. We're just saying
We're actually trying to lift him up. I think he's getting 600.
It just feels very ironic. We did a segment talking about how hot takes are bad, and then Ian immediately follows it up with, "Well, here's a bad hot take I have." just my 2 cents.
Ian phrased it poorly to where it sounded like Ian was trying to be like, I don't think Shohei's that good. I'm like,
no,
well,
that wasn't it.
He is.
I led with he's the most valuable player in the game.
No, we got to the core of it. We understand.
Yeah, give the guy 600 million.
So we talk about our ex co-host.
Yeah.
Nico, who we started the podcast with. Maybe you've heard of him. He's on your team. Plays second, a little short, a little third.
I think let's talk about Nico. Let's talk about the cool things that happened.
Is it brought to us by
baseball fans? America's pastime is back. Step up to the plate for some season opener action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. Right now, new customers can place a $5 pre-game moneyline bet and get $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Talk about hitting it out of the park. Plus, everyone can get in on the Major League action with a no-sweat bet from DraftKings. Opt in, and if your first bet doesn't win, don't sweat it. You'll get a bonus bet back up to $10. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code COMPOUND. New customers can bet just $5 on any pregame money line and get $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook, again with code COMPOUND. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Baby Tom.
Nico, that ad is going to seem like Tom made it through flawlessly, but if you guys beg him enough on the Twitter, maybe he'll actually show you the real edit there. It's pretty powerful.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's also cut. That's not in the show either.
Nico signs a 3 for.
This is a dictatorship. I don't like it.
It is a dictatorship. The Nico signs a 3 for 35 with the show cubbies. Really awesome for him. Gets us some security. He's still going to be a free agent at 29. The Cubs already had him under control for the next 2, so they're giving him 1 more year for all of the fans. And it lets him go play free for a couple years, and he's still young enough to go back out and get paid. So I think it's a win-win and really an awesome deal for Neek, and I'm very proud of him.
I think exactly. I agree. I think it's a win-win. Like you said, you cover the 2 last years of ARB. You don't have to deal. I mean, the stress of dealing with arbitration of like, oh, well, I think I'm worth this. They think I'm worth that. Like, we need to go to arbitration and figure it out. Like, he's done. Like, the next 3 years, he has nothing to worry about. Like, obviously, you can always get traded, whatever, but he has nothing to worry about contractually. And he's just like, for the next 3 years, like you said, he can just go play baseball.
Which is something that, like, sorry, Zach, but like something that there is a period of time in your baseball career where like it's hard to go play baseball. Like, you're a young player and you're trying to get, in the lineup. And then, once you do, you can just go play baseball for a couple of years because you're going to like the minimum. And then once you get to the ARB system, your performance kind of dictates how you get paid. And so for him to just be able to go play baseball and not worry about any of that other stuff for 3 years is a very like mentally freeing thing. That's pretty cool.
And he was someone that had been dinged up in the past, like he's had like a couple of injuries throughout his years. So I feel like that's something like you just feel more protected as a player, knowing like I have these next 3 years where I'm getting this money no matter what happens. Like, obviously you still want to go out and perform and play great, and I'm sure he will, but it's just something to have that like insurance of I'm good. Like, I'm set for the next 3 years.
Yeah. And the Indians just extended Jimenez.
Whoa.
I saw that.
So
He got
a big one.
He had 7 for 106. I looked up his numbers. He had a good year last year. God
But he had
bless.
a really, really, really good year.
He had a
We played
really
him
good year.
in the fall league in 19 when he was still on the Mets, I think. And he was really, he's really young now. He was really young then. This is 4 years ago. We were all like, whenever we played him, we were just like, bro, this guy is going to be a star. It's just like held his own, like controlled the bat. line to line, and it's this guy is the Gold Glove infielder, and it's just like this guy's incredible. He's 20 years old, 19 years old. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, he gets paid. The Indians have two $100 million contracts on the books. How many other teams in baseball have $200 million contracts, Tom?
Don't know. You said Indians. I don't know if you want to redo it. I don't
Oh,
know if you
the
want to
Guardians.
do it again.
Guardians have two.
Nice, Ian.
My bad.
I wonder if the Yankees have any more than two.
No.
The Yankees have like 5.
I grew up an Indians fan, so like the Guardians. My dad was from Cleveland. The whole family was Indians fans. So I grew up an Indians fan with Vizquel and Manny Ramirez and Tommy and all those guys. And so the transition to Guardians has been one that's very difficult for me. I don't frequently say Guardians, and so apologies, Guardians. They have $200 million players. Name the other teams that have $200 million players.
Do you know the other teams, or do you want me to guess?
No, I could try to guess though. The Yankees,
Mets, Padres,
Phillies.
Can we Astros?
Astros.
Bregman,
Yeah, Astros.
Bregman and
Bregman.
Altuve.
Do the Cubbies have a
Rodon.
second? Was Dansby 100 or no?
Dansby's 100, but that's it.
I think he's the only one.
What about let's look at the playoff teams. from
Cardinals
last
have
year.
two. Cardinals have two.
Literally look at the playoffs, right?
Brewers. Yelich has got to be making
It's
100.
Yelich and Burns didn't get extended.
Burns doesn't have an extension.
Do you guys know how many players, this is according to Spot Rack, which tracks contracts across all sports, are currently on a contract that's worth at least $100 million in Major League Baseball right now?
I'm gonna guess
I have no idea.
17.
I was going to say 20.
I believe it's 58.
What?
That number seems high.
I can send you the list.
But
I don't think you're lying. I believe
You're
you.
a
That's
facts
just
guy. You're a facts guy.
I believe you. But it is true, because if you think about it, like, who was it? Is it Acuna's deal? Like, doesn't someone have like a 10 for 100, or Ozzie Albies? Like, there's some that have like a lot of years.
Yeah, Acuna.
Acuna's at exactly 100. He's one of the guys exactly. At
Yeah,
100.
Bregman's at exactly 100. Like there's guys that are at exactly 100 in shorter term or whatever, or longer term. But yeah, interesting. That's the Indians have $200 million players. Guardians. Damn it. Good for them for going and spending. And he's going to be around with Jose Ramirez for a long time. Pretty cool.
Jose Ramirez took a cut too. He took a pay cut because he said he wanted to be there.
True. Probably
Ian.
gave so much money to him.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
You don't have to answer, and we can cut this. What are your feelings going into a season in which you will be a free agent after the year? Like, what does that feel like? I mean, you haven't started playing yet, but like, how mentally do you handle that?
That's a good question. I don't think that you know. I don't know. I guess I've watched guys go through it. And so I've watched our, three guys for sure that were kind of there for a long time go through it. Watch Castellanos in the back end of his, and like watch guys kind of go through it in different ways. And like, I think the most important part is just like, you just go out and play baseball. And like I think what I've been thinking about some is like, you look back at like your draft. I think your draft year is probably like the most comparable, like, you're not going to be there at the end of this year, right? But you have to go out and do the things to like get drafted where you want to get drafted. And probably like you can obsess about it, and you can like do all these things to like think about it all the time, but also like you can just go out and play baseball, and you can just go out and play and like enjoy the group and like do the things that you know are important to you, whether that's like the way that you work or the way that you study your game planning and all that stuff. And then like you just go out and play and be available, and at the end of the year it'll all look okay.
Sounds like you've had some training on that answer.
I've actually never answered that question before. And
let's go.
If anybody else had asked me that question, except for maybe if it was Zach or Tom, I don't think I would have answered it.
Let's go. That's why I said, I was like, you don't have to answer. I was just
because
curious.
I care about this pod.
Well, I was just curious because like we were talking about Nico, like having the 3 years, like, and then you're going into a year where it's like, well, like, let's see what happens. Like, you don't know what next year holds, like what this season holds, obviously, like you know, trades and all that. So I just was curious your thoughts on that.
The ARB process probably prepares you for that too, because like every year in ARB, you could be pushing it forward or regressing.
True.
It. So it's like you get to a point where you're a little numb to it and you just go play. I think when you get in trouble is when you're like, that's all you think about, or like you're upset about how things have like transpired in the past, and like it's just like just go and play baseball and enjoy the fact that you get to go do it.
Exactly, because I feel like it's not like April 10th you went 0 for 4. Like I'm not making any money next year. It's like you can't, you just got to go out and play the game.
Yeah, it's just really that, and that's every year. It's like you go, you have a tough stretch, or you go in a little bit of you get a tough game or two. Like that was something I learned last year too. It's like the season's just so long. But
also, it's such an honor to get to that spot too.
Yeah,
like you've gone like they always say okay debut, and you're like, okay, let's see how long I can spend up here. Okay, I want to get to ARB, and then it's like, okay, I want to get to free agency. And like just to get there is such an honor in itself. And it's obviously it's the same thing like what you're talking about in college or in high school when it's your draft year. It's like, okay, how many people would die to be in this position? Like this is awesome. It's such a privilege and an honor, but it's so hard to think about that when you're in it. It's just like, oh my God, I have to do this or I'm not gonna get whatever, or it's like what you were saying, but it's so hard to think about it like that. But when you can take a step back and be like, wow, I am in a position where I could really change not only my life, but generations after me. I'm assuming it's a pretty fulfilling thought and, process to go through.
Yeah. And you're doing the same thing you've done your whole life. I think that's like the biggest part. It's like, you're just going doing the same thing. You're just going playing baseball and like enjoying, what that is. And it just happens to have pretty nice rewards. We had our first.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We had our first Wrigley workout today. That's what I was going to say.
I was just going to say, I was just looking at, I didn't know who you guys opened up with, and I saw it was the Brewers. I was like, oh, season starting. You got Corbin Burns. Go get him.
Yeah, we did last year. We've opened with the Brewers, I think 3 of the last 4.
I saw John Boy, I think it was John Boy, or somebody posted something like a lot of people are predicting Corbin Burns for like NL Cy Young.
He's a little pissed off.
So that's a fun guy to start out with.
He's a little pissed off.
Yeah, we had.
Sorry, I was going to ask you. Last year, you had a good opening day, if I remember right. You had that double that threw down the line. You had another. Maybe did you have 2 hits? I think maybe.
Does that?
Do you feel like when you have a good opening day, because obviously you had a good year last year, do you feel like that sets like, or does that matter at all to you?
Oh my God, Tom, how much pressure are you putting on opening day now?
No, I mean, I'm just curious. Like, is that like? Do you feel
no pressure, man?
No,
opening day sets the tone for the whole
season. The
season.
season's not over. I'm just curious.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I've had good opening days.
Famously 18.
19, I think you had a knock opening day.
Opening day was
it was 21. Nashville.
But regardless.
19, I think you hit a double opening day.
Yeah, I did.
Bases clearing double.
Base clearing double. Yeah, I rake. But I hit.
I was on third.
18 was like one of my. What?
Yeah.
I said, I'm pretty sure if we're talking about the same at bat, I'm pretty sure I was on third base.
Yeah, it was in Nashville.
It was inside left or inside third base.
Yeah.
It was ready. I hit that homer in 18 to lead off the season, and like
didn't play next day.
Didn't play next day, and that was like one of my toughest years in the big league. So it's like opening day doesn't matter. I mean, it matters. It's awesome. Like it's a great day, but like what you do on opening day is as important as what you do on August 15th. Doesn't really matter. But we've opened, I feel like I was just talking about it today. I was like, we've opened with the Brewers 3 of my I've only had, because I didn't have opening day in 19 or in 17 or 19. So I had 18.
Yeah, you did. Nashville Sounds.
I had 18, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So 3 of my 5 will have been against the Brewers, because we opened in 20, 22, and 23 with the Brewers. Woodruff in 20, and then Burns in 22 and 23.
And we talked about it. I want to say we talked about it last year. I think we had Scotty on because he made opening day for the first time last year. Like we talked about, you said how cool opening day is, like just to get to experience. Because I mean, like there's always your team. You could be any team in the world. Opening day, like you have all the excitement of like, who knows? Like it's baseball. Like we could go make the playoffs. We could make a run. Like, obviously not every team's going to, but opening day is like, you never know. Like we could go win 162 games this year. It could happen.
Yeah, everybody's excited. Like there's energy in the stadium. The fans are excited. Like it's a clean slate. Like everybody has so much opportunity in front of them. And like you look at your team and like everybody in the big leagues has good players, right? Like you look at your team and you're like, we could do this. Like we have a legitimate chance to go compete. And like that part of it's cool. Your first anthem on opening day, like all that stuff is really cool. So I'm excited, but it was really cold at Wrigley today. It was about 38 to 40 degrees. It snowed this morning. The wind was blowing in, and it was a nice intro to be like, hey boys, this is what it's like. It's like Oz was just in San Diego for the last 4 or 5 years. You had Belly was in LA, Dansby was in Atlanta. I was like, this is what we're dealing with here, boys. So that's what it looks like.
And you got 96 running in on the hands from Corbin Burns coming, so that's gonna feel good. Don't get jammed.
Well, the pitch clock and like getting your pine tar, like, hey, I gotta put my bat under the heater. Like I gotta warm my hands up coming in from the outfield because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hold this thing if I don't have enough.
Isn't that technically illegal?
Stick.
No.
Isn't that a rule that bats aren't supposed to go into the heater? I don't know. Hitters trying to find an advantage per usual. Always blame it on the pitcher. Always the pitcher's hitters. Fault, never the hitter's fault. Whatever, man.
If you want to unfreeze the pine tar, you got to put it under the heater.
Too bad. Yours is frozen. Why can't I unfreeze my hand with some hot pine tar? Tell me that.
You can have a hand warmer in your back pocket.
Can I throw a little sunscreen and rosin on it?
Yes, that is actually no one is fighting sunscreen and rosin.
That's such a lie because
no one is fighting sunscreen and
because
rosin.
You can't tell what it is though. So that's such a lie.
No one is getting mad at a pitcher for sunscreen and rosin.
You're lying. Because if you go out there, if I come off the mound and there's sticky stuff on my hand, it's not like there's a label on my hand that says this is sunscreen and rosin, not spider tack.
There is a label. One, the ball holds to your finger, and the other, just a little bit of,
I mean, sunscreen and rosin also adds RPMs, but I think there needs to be a middle ground.
You sound like
just because I'm sick of being on this hitters podcast where the hitters get all the pitchers are working too fast or they're working too slow and I got to get in the box and they have all this time on the mound. They can do whatever they want. Shut up.
I have a question.
In the box. Be ready to swing it.
Did you guys see the other day Nestor Cortez? What happened with him?
Yeah, he tried to quick
cheat
and they no.
The kid wasn't looking up. Who was it? The guy was not looking up.
It was Candy.
Hey, you step those feet in the box. You better be ready to swing it.
I kind of agree with Dakota. It feels like if you're in the batter's box, the pitcher should be allowed to throw the ball.
What do I got to sit there for you to take 3 little practice half swings before you look at me? Like, just look at me. Let's go. Let's get this thing going.
What am I going to do? Jump into the box? Do you want me to hop into the box? All right, I'm going to be out of the box. Okay, I'm going to be looking at you. And I'm going to be in my ready position. And then
you
jump in. And now you can throw. That's what we're going to do?
That works for me.
What are we talking about?
That works for me.
You're both crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. As the hitter, I have until 8 seconds to look at you. Guess what? If I want to waggle my bat or I want to look at the ground until 8 seconds and then look at you, then that's what I'll do.
Well, guess what? As soon as that clock clicks to 8, boom, it's coming in.
Well, that's the thing. You can't start your motion until I'm looking at it. It's the whole point. Or else you'd have what Scherzer was doing earlier. When we talked about what Scherzer was doing earlier in the year, you weren't like, oh, I can't believe it.
Always catering to the hitters. The fans want to see more runs. Let's help the hitters. It's too hard to hit. Well, you should have been a pitcher then.
You guys shouldn't abuse the spider tack.
Never did. Never touched the stuff. Ooh. Speaking of that Nestor Cortez one, though, should we touch on the JT Realmuto?
Yes. Can I talk about something that helps hitters, though?
Bruce Bolt
batting gloves. They help hitters. Okay. Those are the batting gloves I use. You ever see the ones that I use? They're white with the blue. And now I got some new ones coming out. But they got the Bolt right there. Bruce Bolt. They're actually a family-owned business in Austin, Texas, started by a 16-year-old. And I'm a little biased, but I think they're the best batting gloves in the game. Real Cabretta leather. They fit better and last longer than any other glove on the market. I use a short cuff, but they have a long cuff that has like a big wrap. Bader uses those for a little bit of extra support on the wrist. And I think they're the best in the game. But Bader, Nemo, Lars Nootbaar was wearing them in WBC.
Why don't you hook up ZS59 with some?
Well, I asked ZS59 if he wanted it, and he said he's got something else going on. Stinks.
Oh,
But
well
check out my two different styles on brucebolt.us, brucebolt.us, or Amazon.com.
I'll tell you one thing about ZS59. He's just not in it today. He said over under 20 words. I'm going under.
Boys, I had a long drive.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, and I had a workout in 30 degrees today, bro.
Oh my God.
Hey,
me a river.
tell me about.
You could have
30
slept
degrees.
so many different times during that.
No, you know what? That 30-degree workout's tough. Okay, I had one that was 40 and it was tough. Let's talk about Realmuto.
You guys were just in Arizona for 2 months. I've been living in it. Tom's been living in it.
Tom's trying to get us back on track because he's like, I'm gonna have to edit all this out. I hate you guys.
No, this is not editing out. This is them being coddled. Ooh, it's cold. Let's talk about Realmuto. I'm getting pissed. Let's talk about Realmuto.
Well, why don't you tell us about it? Weren't you the one that wanted to talk about it?
Tom sent it and said we needed to talk about it. And he said it was asinine, which was a fancy word, honestly.
Good word. It's basically what happened. I think everybody saw it, but for the fans, Kimbrel was pitching. John Boy actually did a really good breakdown. John Boy Media, where we support the parent company. Go to John Boy Media on the Twitter or the YouTube. There's a breakdown. So Kimbrel throws a pitch. Kimbrel doesn't throw a pitch. Kimbrel gets a shot clock violation. Shot clock violation, doesn't throw the pitch, asks for a new ball. And Realmuto puts his glove up to say, give me the ball, throw it back to him. Umpire throws it himself. Okay, Kimbrel gets the ball, hates the ball, throws it away. Realmuto puts his glove up, thinks, oh God, this guy's actually going to throw it back again. Puts his glove down. Guy tries to put it in his glove, whiffs, gets a little upset, tosses him. Crazy sequence. Crazy. And the video of just like the 4 seconds of like Realmuto putting his glove up, putting his glove down, not looking at the guy, him throwing it, and then immediately ejecting him was crazy.
Never seen it.
Realmuto was, you have to actually be like in shock. Like he's like, what? Like, what do you mean I'm tossed? What did I do?
Do you think he turned around and was like, what'd you throw out?
He's probably like, wait, who'd you just toss?
Well, especially because like to get tossed out of a spring training game it's like,
it's hard to do.
I'm out here, I'm trying to catch our potential closer or 8th inning guy, whatever Kimbrel's going to do for them. And like, I'm trying to get a couple more bats before we start this thing up. And you're going to toss me? Like, what's going on?
And the whole thing was like, everyone said it, but like, it's not even looking at the umpire. Like, how could he possibly have timed that to be disrespectful? Like, and like you said, he had just thrown the one before back to Kimbrel. So he's probably like, new one. And he's like, oh, wait, he always throws it out to the pitcher and puts his glove down.
You can
and
see
I don't
in
know.
the video. That's what he's saying. He said, I thought he was throwing it back. And he's also, this guy's played 1,005 major league games and has 0 career ejections.
Yeah.
So it just,
Spring training.
That's the ump must have just, I don't know. He must have just not been about it that day, because that was one where it's like, he didn't even do anything. Like, even if he did it on purpose, like, is that worthy of an ejection? I don't think so. I'd be like, okay, JT, pick the ball up. Like, if you're going to do that, like, you can pick it up and throw it back. Like, I don't even think it's worthy if it's on purpose.
There's kind of a crazy thing too, where they like one of either the crew chief or somebody like supported him, which was kind of bananas. But like, I will say, I think the umps have done an amazing job with the
nice butter him up before.
Got to butter him up. No, I'm serious about this. I'm dead serious. There's been a lot of stuff.
For sure. Hey, wink.
I don't like what this guy did, but there's a lot
doing great.
There's been a lot of stuff this spring that they've had to worry about with like the clocks and the buzzers that get going on and all the other like the shift rule and all this stuff, and trying to figure out how that's going to work with a lot of notes, I think, from MLB on the way, along the way. And so it's been the adjustments they've made and like how much they've communicated with players has been really good. I do think you're going to see, and I might be a culprit of it, like if I'm getting in the box and that guy is coming set as I'm looking up and I'm not ready, I'm going to be.
Didn't they change that?
To be talking to somebody.
I'm pretty sure they made like an emphasis on it. Like, hey, you cannot be set before he gets in the box.
Yes, but like, yeah, but like, you know, when you, all right, here's the example. I call time. 2 strikes. I call time. that guy is pretty close to having his pitch, right? Even if they've gone through any sequence or he already has his pitch. So by the time I even step back in the box, he's got his pitch. So I get back in the box with 15 seconds. I know I have 7 seconds to get to see the pitcher or whatever. So I go through my process. Like I'm coming up to get set. And like, as I'm coming up to get set, he's coming set or he's going into his windup. I'm going to be upset. And because you have to, if I need to see the clock, the whole thing, Dakota, you were saying, like, if you're looking up, or Tom, if you're looking up, I should be able to pitch. If you're in the box, I have to see where the clock is, to see how many seconds are on the clock. I have to look past the pitcher to the clock in the outfield ball. So like, just to even see what time it is, I got to go check behind the pitcher. So I might be looking up, but I'm not like looking at the pitcher. I'm going like, oh, there's 12 seconds left.
There's also another thing too. Two things. Well, you know how we always said the common sense, like that needs to be a part of the whole clock. We had a meeting on last week, the week before, that like common sense is like prevailing in it, I guess you could say. Like if you take a G hack and you kind of fall over, or if you get brushed up and in, helmet falls off, they'll like give you like, hey, like wait a second, and then they'll restart the clock. It's not like, hey man, you almost died, but by the way, you're at 11 seconds. You better look up. And then so say you call time, or in that instance, like they're holding the clock for you. So like if I call time early in the at bat and I don't have a timeout for the rest of the at bat, and like I get in there or say I get brushed up and in, and I'm like, all right. And now if I get back in there at 15 seconds, I'm like, fuck, this guy can wait the whole time. But now you can tell the umpire like, hey, start the clock. I'm good. Even if you're outside of the box.
Yeah,
so
that
then
was
you
smart.
Get in there at 9 or 8 seconds.
That's my thing. Zach did it all last year. Like, it's not going to be as bad as people think. Like, people think like, oh, like this is never going to work, or like stuff like it's going to be super complicated. Like, it was pretty seamless. Wouldn't you say, Zach? Like, there's maybe 2 weeks adjustment, adjustment.
It's just tough because like there's so much more riding on MLB games, obviously. So like you have to kind of be like, there has to be concrete rules, but you can also attest like, or tie it to the NFL play clock. Like there's some refs that call it as soon as that shit hits 0, like, hey, we're calling it. But then there's also some that will look at the clock, look at the ball, and look back at the clock. And then it's like, oh, sorry, I didn't call it. But I think it's way more like, it's easier to yell at umpires and to get under their skin if you're, it's quieter, you're closer, you have way more attention on the umpires, but yes, I agree. I think, again, said it all since this has started. It's going to be like, Ian, you're going to look up and be like, all right, this is I got the hang of it. It's kind of easy.
But it also I didn't really notice it last year at all, like in AAA, but I feel like in the big leagues, there will be, like you said, Zach, about the NFL, like there will be certain umps that'll be like, oh, like 8 seconds, he wasn't looking, strike. Like there will be some that are right on it, and there will be others be like, all right, like he looked at 7.5. Who cares? Like, let's just go. Let's keep playing the game.
Because then, like we said, it takes longer if the umpire to be like, time, like, hey, that's a strike. And then, like, chances are, if I'm in at 8 seconds or 7.5 seconds, like, I may say something like, Bill, come on. Like, there's no way. Like, again, so that's 30 seconds right there. And then, God forbid, if a manager gets into it because he hasn't been calling shit for the other team, like, it's going to be interesting with that.
There's also, I feel like you could like kind of like say the second pitch of the at bat, like you were like right around that 8. Like if you're the ump, like you can give you like a, hey man, like just be careful of that clock. Like if it, like I've got to get you on the next one. So like if it happens again, then it's like, hey man, like I told you, like I got to call a strike here. Like
same thing as a balk when like in between innings, the ump would be like, hey Dakota, like, hey, if he's checking your glove, hey, I'd be careful. Like if you're not coming set, I'm going to have to bang you next inning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
The flow of the game has actually been really good the last week or so, and they've done a better job. Like they were really strict on the clock early. They've done a better job of like it's starting at a more natural pace, and the games are still. We played a 150 something the other day.
Yeah, so and like you have to be really strict in spring training, or it's not going to change anything. So like it sucked, like there was things like games being ended and stuff, and it's like okay, like Manfred actually said, like, hey, this is a good thing that this is being an issue right now, because it won't be in 4 weeks when the season starts. It won't be.
100%. Let's
if you're not
let's
strict, it's going to get ugly. But
let's give the people a Sloan screen time. Let's tell them about Sloan. Let's give them the Sloan screen time. Let's let people know how much Dakota's been on his phone.
I've been on my phone. Tough day for the kid.
I'll own up to this. Yeah, I have my phone set so the display screen doesn't go off. And the other night I fell asleep with my phone on. So I looked at my bar today and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And it's 6 hours and 9 minutes. But the way it's all thrown off is because there's a day where I have like 15 hours because it was like 8 hours of sleep in there.
Oh, no. Sloan's the world's leading manufacturer of commercial plumbing systems. The company is at the forefront of green building movement and provides smart, sustainable, and hygienic restroom solutions by manufacturing water efficient products, including
The flushometer.
flushometers, faucets,
Tom.
sink systems, soap dispensers, fixtures for commercial, industrial, institutional markets worldwide. Learn more at sloan.com.
I don't know what happened to my phone.
Oh my God.
I literally, it says 4 minutes and it doesn't
That
show any data the
is-
last 2 days.
Very convenient.
It doesn't show anything. Like I click on week, it shows nothing.
Yeah.
I
Mine
don't
was
know.
5 hours and 1 minute.
I don't know what happened.
Sounds like you've been spending a lot of time on the flushometer. 3 hours and 2 minutes for me.
I have an NA. Sorry. I literally, I don't know what happened. It doesn't have anything for my whole week.
Dakota, my man. We believe you.
Why would I lie? I don't care.
I don't
You
think
know,
it's an NA. I think it's just an L. I think you just lost. I think if you
That's-
don't report a
I mean,
score,
that's
you lose.
definitely a loss.
That's fine. I'll take a loss, but I don't know what to tell you. I literally have no data for the week. So there's really nothing I can do.
Tom, can
It
you
is-
put 24 hours for him on the
I'll put it on the graph.
Do that, yeah, that's fine. That's fair. It is what it is, you know. You got to be
can
held
I say-
accountable sometimes.
Can I say one more thing about Parsay? I would like
You can
for
always say things about
the
Parsay.
amazing story that we heard from our friend in Oregon. If you have a Parsay story, if you have like a time that you went to a bar and saw it, or the first time you had Parsay, or you went to your local Benny's or Total Wine, you got Parsay, why don't you tell us a story, right, Tom? A little DM. Then we'll start reading a couple on the episode.
Why can't they send it to you?
Send Tom a DM.
No, send it to the compound. You're not sending
Send
it directly to
Tom
me.
personally a DM. Just kidding. Send it to the compound or Tom personally, and tell us your Parsay story, and we'll read a few on the air. They're checked out. They're looking at their phone.
What did you want me? What did you want me to say
Their
to
screen
that?
time.
What did you
Reported their
want me to
screen time.
say?
Now they're trying to get it up before they go to bed.
Literally.
That's
what
episode
did you
152
say?
of the Compound Podcast presented by Parsay Rum. Go to Benny's, go to Total Wine, get some Parsay. Opening days tomorrow. We'll see you next week.
Go Toledo Mud Hens.